The research ship Starlight Voyager floated in the cold silence of deep space. It was a lonely place, far from Earth, far from any colony, and far from safety. The crew of 12 humans had been traveling for months, searching for signs of alien life. Most days were quiet, filled with routine checks, small repairs, and endless scanning. But one night, everything changed. The radio system, usually silent, began to hum. At first it was soft, like static, but then it grew stronger. The sound was not just noise. It felt alive. It was like the signal carried emotion. As if someone was whispering straight into their hearts. Lieutenant Harris was the first to notice. He frowned at the screen, adjusting the controls. "This is not normal static," he said, his voice uneasy. The others gathered around, curious. The signal was strange, rising and falling like a voice, though no words could be heard. Captain Elena Morgan stood with her arms crossed, staring at the screen. She was a strong woman, always calm, always in control. But tonight she felt something different. Her chest tightened as the sound flowed through the ship. It was not just entering their ears, it was entering their minds. Dr. Singh pressed his hands against his temples. "It feels like pressure inside the head," he whispered. Several crew members nodded, their faces pale. The signal was not only sound, it was emotion. It carried both fear and excitement, like a hand pulling them forward into the unknown. Captain Morgan ordered, "Trace the source." The navigation team worked quickly, triangulating the origin. The signal was coming from a nearby star system, one that was unmarked and unexplored. It was a dark system, without habitable planets. There should have been nothing there. "Should we follow it?" asked Harris. His voice shaking, every eye turned to the captain. She hesitated, but deep inside she knew the answer. They were explorers, and explorers did not run from mystery. She finally said, "Set a course." The engines roared to life, and the Starlight Voyager turned. The crew sat in silence as the ship jumped toward the source. The signal grew louder with every passing hour. Now it was not only sound, but a strange vibration in the walls of the ship, like the vessel itself was resonating with the call. Night cycles on board were restless. Some crew members could not sleep. They dreamed of shadows, of eyes watching from the void. Others woke up with sweat, whispering that someone had spoken to them in their dreams. Always the same phrase, soft but commanding. "Don't resist. Feel it." By the third day, tension filled the ship. Arguments broke out over small things, food rations, work shifts, cleaning duties. The crew were professionals, trained to stay calm, but the signal gnawed at their minds, making them restless. Dr. Singh warned the captain, "If this continues, we may break down before we even reach the source." Captain Morgan looked at him, her face hard. "We are already in it," she said. "We cannot turn back now." Deep down, she felt a pull too strong to resist. It was as if something beyond human understanding was guiding her. She would not admit it, but she too had heard the whisper in her dreams. As the ship entered the unmarked star system, the signal peaked. Screens flashed, alarms sounded, but it was not danger. It was arrival. The crew stared through the viewing window, and what they saw made their hearts stop. There was no planet, no moon, no station. Instead, there was light. A glowing shape floated in the void, shifting and moving, like a woman made of energy. Her figure was clear, but her face was hidden in the brightness. She seemed both beautiful and terrifying. She turned toward the ship, though she had no eyes, and raised a hand. The signal stopped. Silence fell. Then, inside every crew member's head, a voice spoke, soft, strange, and impossible to resist. "Humans," it said. "Don't resist, feel it." Fear spread through the crew. No one spoke. No one moved. The alien woman had found them, and the real challenge was about to begin. The crew of the Starlight Voyager stood frozen before them. In the endless dark of space floated the glowing woman. Her body shimmered like liquid light, her shape clear yet shifting. She was not made of flesh and bone, but energy, alive and moving. Every crew member felt her presence, not just with their eyes, But deep in their minds, Captain Morgan tried to speak, but her voice caught in her throat. It was Lieutenant Harris who whispered first. Is she real? Or some kind of projection? No one answered because everyone knew the truth. This was not a machine, not a trick of light. This was a being, powerful and beyond human understanding. The alien woman raised her hand slowly. She did not touch the ship, yet the hull vibrated as if her fingers brushed across it. The crew stumbled, grabbing onto rails. Then the voice came again, inside their heads, soft but commanding. Do not resist. Feel it. Dr. Singh pressed his palms to his ears, though he knew it was useless. It's not sound, he muttered. It's inside the brain. Crew members looked at each other with fear in their eyes, but mixed with that fear was something dangerous. Curiosity. The woman's presence felt both terrifying and beautiful. Captain Morgan finally found her voice. This is the research vessel Starlight Voyager. We come in peace, she said firmly. Her words echoed uselessly in the silence of space. The alien woman tilted her head slightly as if amused. Then she spoke again, and her voice was like 1,000 whispers layered together. You are human. I have heard of your kind. The crew shivered. How could she know them when humanity had never met her species? Harris muttered. This is impossible. But the alien ignored him. Her glow pulsed brighter, and suddenly the ship's systems flickered. Screens went black, lights dimmed, engines slowed, yet nothing was broken. It was as if she simply chose to control everything. The crew panicked, voices overlapping in the command room. What is she doing? Is this an attack? We should raise shields. But before they could act, her voice pressed into their minds once more. Do not resist. Feel it. One of the younger crew, Ensign Rivera, gasped, her eyes unfocused as if in a trance. She whispered, She's inside me. She knows my thoughts. The others rushed to her side, shaking her, but Rivera smiled strangely. It doesn't hurt. It feels warm. Captain Morgan stepped forward, standing firm. What do you want from us? She demanded. The alien woman lowered her glowing hand. For a moment, silence filled the void. Then her voice came again, heavier, deeper, echoing in every bone. Human courage is famous. Prove it. The words struck them like a blow. The alien was not here to destroy, but to challenge. What kind of test? Harris asked, though his voice trembled. Her light flickered brighter and brighter until the crew had to shield their eyes. When it dimmed, the command room looked different. No longer metal walls and control panels, but endless shadows. The alien had twisted reality itself. The crew stood in a space that was not space. Floor, ceiling, stars, all gone. Only blackness surrounded them with faint lights drifting like embers. Captain Morgan's heart pounded. This was no dream, no illusion created by machines. This was her doing, bending their minds into a new world. The alien appeared again, closer now, her face still hidden in the glow. She spoke calmly, but with power that shook their souls. Survive my challenge, and your kind will be known as worthy. She paused, her light flickering like a heartbeat. Fail, and you will never leave this place. Fear rippled through the crew. Some reached for weapons, but their hands found nothing. Everything they carried was gone. Only their bodies remained. The alien woman smiled faintly, her glow softening for a moment. Courage is not in steel nor fire. It is inside you. The silence was heavy, broken only by the sound of their own breaths. Captain Morgan looked at her crew, frightened, uncertain, but alive. She raised her chin and said, We accept your challenge. The alien tilted her head again, the glow around her pulsing brighter. Her final words before vanishing into the dark sent shivers through every heart. Then let us begin. The blackness around them trembled. The crew braced themselves as shadows began to move. Something was coming, and the alien woman's test had truly begun. The shadows around the crew began to shift. They moved like smoke, curling and twisting, yet there was weight inside them. The command room of the Starlight Voyager was gone. Replaced by a vast, endless space of shifting darkness, the crew stood close together, their breathing sharp and quick, their eyes wide. The alien woman's glow had vanished, leaving only her voice in their minds. Humans, she whispered. Your courage is praised across the stars. Prove it to me. Her words echoed like thunder, yet felt soft as silk. Captain Morgan steadied herself, planting her feet firmly on the ground that was not ground. What do you want from us? She demanded. Her voice wavered slightly, though she tried to hide the fear. The shadows moved again, forming shapes. At first they looked like faceless figures. Then, like monsters from nightmares, they grew taller, sharper, more real, until the crew could see claws, teeth, and eyes glowing red. Ensign Rivera gasped and stepped back, her hand reaching for a weapon that was not there. But no gun appeared, no armor, nothing to shield them. The alien woman's voice returned, calm yet commanding. Do not resist. Feel it. If you fight what is inside you, you will break. Accept it, and you will endure. The crew looked at one another in fear and confusion. Dr. Singh shook his head, muttering, This is psychological, an illusion, but it feels too real. The monsters of shadow began to circle them, growling low, their breath like icy wind. One lunged forward, jaws wide, and Harris stumbled back. The shadow creature passed through him like smoke, but he screamed as if burned. He clutched his chest, falling to his knees. His eyes wide with terror, he gasped, It showed me my death. The others pulled him up, fear now spreading faster among them. Captain Morgan clenched her fists, her voice strong. Stay together, don't give it power. Remember who we are. But even she felt the pressure. Her own mind whispered doubts, visions flickering at the edge of her sight. She saw Earth burning, her family calling her name, and herself failing to save them. The alien's voice slid through her thoughts. Do not resist. Feel it. Morgan shook her head, forcing herself back to reality. She realized then, the challenge was not a battle of weapons. It was a battle of will. The creatures circled closer, their eyes reflecting the crew's deepest fears. Rivera cried out suddenly, dropping to the ground. She saw her father lost years ago. Reaching out to her, his face twisted in pain. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I can't do this. Dr. Singh grabbed her shoulders, shaking her. It's not real, you must face it. But the alien woman's whisper came again. Do not resist. Feel it. Singh froze, his own doubts rising. What if the test was not to fight, but to surrender? What if resisting only made the illusion stronger? Morgan caught his hesitation. Her mind raced. What if the alien was telling the truth? Maybe the only way through was to accept the fear. To feel it fully and not run, she took a deep breath. Stepping forward toward one of the shadow beasts, her crew shouted for her to stop, but she ignored them. The beast snarled, towering over her. It opened its jaws, showing rows of teeth like knives. Morgan closed her eyes and whispered, I feel it. The shadow crashed into her, flooding her mind with terror, fire, loss, death. But she did not resist. She let it wash over her, drowning in it, and then it passed. The beast dissolved into mist, vanishing into the darkness. Morgan gasped for air, falling to her knees, sweat dripping from her face. But she was alive, her heart still beating. The crew stared in shock. She did it, Rivera whispered, her voice trembling. Morgan stood again, shaky but firm. She looked at her crew and said, That's the test, not to resist, but to face it, to feel it without breaking. The alien's voice purred softly in their minds. Correct? But only one of you has passed, the others still run from truth. The shadows roared, their shapes multiplying. Dozens of glowing eyes opened in the dark. The challenge was far from over. Morgan clenched her fists again, shouting to her crew, Stand with me, don't run, don't resist. Feel it. Her words struck something deep inside them. The fear was still there, heavy and sharp. But now there was a path forward. The crew gathered close, preparing for the next wave of the aliens' test. They did not know if they could survive. But humanity had been challenged, and they would not break so easily. The shadows thickened around the crew. What had once been formless smoke now grew sharper. Each figure twisted itself into something more personal, more terrifying. It was no longer just beasts with claws and glowing eyes. Now the shapes became mirrors of the crew's deepest nightmares. Ensign Rivera gasped as one shadow stretched into the form of her father. He had died years ago on Earth, but here he stood, his face pale, his eyes empty. He reached for her with trembling hands. Whispering her name, Rivera dropped to her knees, her voice breaking, "Papa." "No, you're gone. You're not real." The shadow's mouth opened wide, and a scream poured out, shaking her bones. Dr. Singh backed away as his own nightmare took shape. Before him appeared a hospital room. A memory from long ago, his younger brother lay dying. Machines beeping, nurses running. Singh's hands trembled as he whispered, "Not again. Please, not again." The shadow bent closer, its face flickering between life and death. Lieutenant Harris faced something different. His nightmare was not family, but failure. He saw the ship exploding, flames tearing through the corridors. He heard his own voice shouting orders as the crew screamed in pain. The shadow showed him as the cause, a leader who doomed them all. Captain Morgan stood in the middle, her jaw tight, her eyes hard. Her fear had already shown itself once, and she had faced it, but now the shadows tried again. This time stronger, she saw Earth burning. Entire cities falling into fire, her family calling her name from the flames, their faces vanishing into smoke. The alien woman's voice returned, calm and cruel. "Your fear is not outside you. It is inside. It has shape because you give it shape. Feel it." The words pressed into their minds like a knife. The crew staggered under the weight, some clutching their heads, others screaming. The darkness pulsed with life, feeding on their despair. Rivera's shadow reached closer, its empty eyes staring into hers. She wanted to run, but Morgan's words echoed in her memory. "Don't resist. Feel it." Her hands shook as she forced herself to stand. Her lips whispered, "You are not real. You are only my fear." The shadow wrapped its arms around her like cold smoke. Her body shivered as visions of loss filled her mind. But she let the feelings come. She let the grief and pain flood through her. She cried openly, her tears falling into the void. And slowly the shadow dissolved, breaking apart into nothing. Dr. Singh watched with wide eyes. His own shadow loomed closer, his brother's dying face calling to him. For years Singh had buried the guilt, telling himself it was not his fault, but now the alien forced him to face it. He knelt, whispering through tears, "I could not save you, but I will not run from you anymore." The shadow hesitated, then shattered into mist, leaving Singh gasping for breath. One by one, the crew began to understand. It was not about destroying fear, but accepting it. The challenge was not about strength of body, but strength of heart, yet Harris struggled. His shadow of the exploding ship grew larger. Louder, more violent, he shouted, "I won't fail. I won't fail," swinging fists into the dark. But the more he fought, the stronger the illusion grew. Flames wrapped around him. Screams filled his ears. The smell of burning metal and flesh filled the air. Morgan rushed to his side, grabbing his shoulders. "Harris, listen to me," she yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. "You cannot fight it. You have to feel it, accept it." But Harris shook his head, his body trembling. "I can't. If I accept it, then it means I am weak. It means I already failed." The alien's voice slid through his thoughts. "You are breaking because you resist. Let go, human." Morgan's grip tightened, her voice fierce. "You are human, and being human means feeling fear, not hiding it. Face it with us." Her words struck him harder than the flames. For a moment, Harris stopped struggling. He closed his eyes, letting the fire burn through his mind. The screams still echoed, but instead of fighting them, he listened. He felt the guilt, the shame, the helplessness, and slowly the fire dimmed. The screams faded, the shadow cracked apart, vanishing into silence. The crew stood together again, breathing heavily, sweat dripping from their faces. The darkness around them shifted, calmer now. The alien woman's voice returned, this time softer, almost curious. "Humans, you suffer, yet you endure. You feel pain, yet you rise. This is different." Her glowing figure reappeared in the void. Brighter than before, she looked at them with an expression that was not anger, but interest. "The test is not finished," she whispered. "You have faced fear, but can you face truth?" Her light pulsed once, and the void began to shake. The crew braced themselves as the next stage of the challenge unfolded. The void shivered like water. The shadows that had haunted the crew dissolved into mist. But the crew's relief was short-lived. The alien woman's light pulsed brighter, flooding the darkness with waves of silver glow. Her voice filled their minds again. This time sharper, stronger. "You have touched fear. But fear is not enough," she whispered. "Now you will face the weight that breaks leaders, the silence that crushes unity, the doubt that destroys trust." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. each one already shaken, each one barely holding together. Captain Morgan tightened her fists, her jaw hard. She could feel the pressure growing heavier, pressing against her thoughts. Suddenly, the crew found themselves back inside the Starlight Voyager. The control room looked the same, the walls, the screens, the consoles. But something was wrong. The air felt heavy, each breath thick like smoke. The lights flickered, and the hum of the ship sounded weak. It was their home, yet it felt lifeless, broken. Rivera gripped a chair, whispering, "Are we back? Is it over?" Morgan shook her head. "No. This is part of it." Dr. Singh checked the panels, frowning. "All systems show failure. Oxygen levels dropping, engines offline," Harris snapped. "It's another illusion, don't believe it." But even as he spoke, the lights dimmed further, plunging the ship into shadow. The alien's voice cut through the gloom. "Unity is fragile, humans. When fear grows, trust breaks. Who will you blame when the ship falls?" Her words cracked like lightning, and the crew's nerves snapped. Voices rose, anger spilling like fire. "It's the captain's fault for bringing us here," Harris shouted. "No, it's the science team. They pushed too far," Rivera cried. Dr. Singh slammed his hand against the console. "Arguing won't save us, but maybe nothing will." The air thickened. Sweat dripped down faces, tempers flared. It was as if the alien fed on their anger, making it grow hotter, sharper. Captain Morgan tried to cut through the noise. "Stop, listen to me," she ordered. But her voice was drowned out by the rising storm of blame. Every word turned into a weapon. Every look into suspicion. Harris stepped forward, his face twisted with rage. "You knew this was a trap. Captain, you led us here, and now we're dying." Morgan met his eyes, steady but cold. "I made the choice because I believed in us," she said. Harris shook his head, his voice breaking. "Belief doesn't save lives. Actions do." The alien's whisper slithered into their thoughts again. "See how fragile you are. See how quickly courage turns to doubt." Rivera dropped to the floor, clutching her head, tears streaming down her face. I can't breathe. I can't do this anymore," she sobbed. Dr. Singh knelt beside her, but even his hands trembled. The crew was collapsing piece by piece. Morgan felt her own control slipping. Her heart pounded, her throat dry, her vision swimming. For a moment, she almost shouted back at them, almost let her rage spill free. But then she remembered the alien's earlier words. "Do not resist. Feel it." Her breath steadied, her fists loosened. This was the breaking point, but maybe breaking was the path. She looked at Harris, at Rivera, at Singh, at every fearful face, and she said, softly at first but growing louder, "Yes, I brought us here, yes. I made the choice and maybe it will kill us, but I will not run from it." Her voice cut through the storm like a blade. "I feel the fear, I feel the guilt, I feel the doubt, but that does not mean I am broken. It means I am human." Her words silenced the room. The flickering light steadied for a heartbeat. As if even the illusion hesitated, Harris stared at her, his anger fading into confusion. Singh lifted his head, his trembling slowing. Rivera looked up through her tears, breathing faster but steadier. The alien's voice returned, softer this time, curious. "You carry your burden openly. You bleed before your crew. Is this your strength?" Morgan stood taller, her voice strong. "It is, because we are not perfect. We fall, we fight, we doubt, but we rise again together. That is what makes us strong." The silence that followed was heavy. The ship around them shook violently. Alarms blaring, metal groaning. The illusion pressed harder, testing the cracks in their unity, but this time the crew clung to Morgan's words. They faced the breaking point not as enemies but as one. The alien's light flickered in the corner of the room. Her form slowly appeared again, glowing brighter than before, her face still hidden. But her voice carried a hint of something new. Not mockery, not cruelty, but respect. "You endure more than I expected, but your trial is not yet complete." The room darkened once more, the walls of the Starlight Voyager melting away into nothing. The crew braced themselves, standing shoulder to shoulder. They had faced fear. They had faced division. Now they wondered, what truth would the alien reveal next? The darkness returned, swallowing the crew once more. The walls of the Starlight Voyager melted away, leaving them in the endless void. But this time, something was different. The fear that had shaken them before was still present, yet their hearts beat steadier. They had reached the breaking point, but they had not shattered. The alien woman's light appeared again. Brighter than before, her glowing figure hovered above them. Shifting and radiant, her voice rippled through their minds. Low and steady, You faced fear. You faced division, yet you still stand. But can you rise above? Her glow pulsed like a heartbeat, sending waves of energy across the void. Rivera whispered, "She's not done with us." "She's testing more." Dr. Singh nodded, his voice weary. "She wants to know if we can grow. Not just survive." Captain Morgan straightened, her voice firm. "Then we show her. We show her what humans are." Her words steadied the crew. Though doubt lingered like a shadow, the void shimmered, and the ground beneath their feet rippled like liquid. Shapes began to form, not monsters this time, but challenges of another kind. An enormous wall rose before them, stretching into the sky, endless and smooth. Its surface gleamed like metal, impossible to climb, impossible to break. The alien's voice echoed, "Rise if you can." Harris stepped forward. Glaring at the wall, he slammed his fists against it. But the surface did not move. Rivera tried to find a grip. Her fingers slipping off the smooth surface, Singh studied it, shaking his head. "It is not stone, not steel, it's something else. Something that feels us." Morgan placed her hand on the wall. Closing her eyes at once, images filled her mind. The wall showed her all their past struggles, their failures, their moments of weakness, every climb that ended in a fall, every hope crushed by reality. It was not a barrier of strength, but a barrier of memory. She pulled her hand away, gasping, "It's made from our own limits." The crew fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. How could they rise if the wall was built from everything they could not overcome? The alien's whisper came again, pressing into their thoughts. "You resist too much. You cling to limits, let go and rise." The crew exchanged uncertain looks. Rivera shook her head. "I don't know how," Singh muttered. "Maybe it means surrender again, like before." Harris growled, frustration burning. "No, I won't surrender. I'll break it." He slammed his fists again and again until his knuckles bled. But the wall did not move and his body sank to the ground. Exhausted, Morgan watched, her mind racing. The test was not about strength, not about force. It was about trust, about belief, about the human spirit. She looked at her crew, their faces pale but determined, and then she spoke, her voice steady. "We climb not with our bodies, but with what's inside us. This wall is our fear, our doubt, our past failures. If we trust each other, we can rise together." The crew stared at her, uncertain but listening. She extended her hand toward Rivera, who hesitated, then took it. Singh placed his hand next. Then Harris, one by one, they formed a chain. A circle of human hands, the wall shimmered at their touch. The surface rippled like water, glowing faintly. Morgan closed her eyes, whispering, "We do not resist, we feel it, and we rise." The wall trembled, cracks spreading across its endless height. The glow grew stronger, brighter until it burst into shards of light. The crew staggered back, shielding their eyes. When the brilliance faded, the wall was gone. In its place was a rising path of light, stretching upward into the stars. The alien woman's form appeared above the path. Watching silently, her glow pulsed with something new. Approval. "You adapt, you change, you turn weakness into strength," she whispered. Her voice no longer sharp, but curious, almost respectful. "Other species fight or fall, but you rise." The crew breathed heavily, their bodies shaking, but their spirits lifted for the first time. They felt not only fear, but hope. Rivera smiled faintly through her tears. "We did it," she whispered. "We actually did it." Harris, still trembling, managed a nod, his anger replaced by quiet respect. Singh wiped his face, whispering, "We are not just surviving, we are proving ourselves." Morgan stood tall, her eyes locked on the glowing figure. The alien tilted her head, her light shimmering like starlight. "Do not celebrate yet, humans, you have turned the tide. But the final storm is coming." Her voice echoed with both warning and admiration. The path of light trembled beneath their feet. Stretching higher into the unknown, the crew braced themselves, knowing the last and greatest trial waited ahead. The shining path stretched upward, glowing like a bridge of light across the stars. The crew of the Starlight Voyager stood at its base, their hearts pounding, their bodies heavy with exhaustion, but their eyes carried a fire now, a determination born from surviving the earlier trials. They had faced fear, they had faced division, they had even faced their own limits. Yet the alien woman's words still echoed in their minds. "The final storm is coming." Captain Morgan took the first step onto the path. The others followed, one by one, their boots pressing against the glowing surface. It felt solid beneath their feet, but alive, as if the light pulsed with their every heartbeat. The higher they climbed, the colder the void around them became. Stars flickered faintly, as though watching in silence. Then the light shifted, the path trembled, waves of energy surging through it. The crew froze as the stars above them dimmed, and in their place appeared something vast, an illusion, or perhaps something more. They saw Earth, their home. Suspended before them in the endless dark, Rivera gasped, clutching her chest. Earth! She's showing us Earth. Dr. Singh's voice cracked with awe and dread. No, she's testing us again. The alien woman's glow appeared high above the planet, larger than ever, her voice filling the void. Here is your final trial, humans, she whispered. Your world, your people, your future, all in my hand. She extended her glowing palm, and fire spread across the surface of Earth. Cities burned, oceans boiled, continents cracked with rivers of molten light. Billions of voices echoed faintly, crying out. The crew staggered back, some falling to their knees. Rivera screamed, No, no, this can't be real. Harris's eyes widened, his voice shaking. She's destroying everything. Morgan's fists clenched. But she forced herself to breathe. Her instincts screamed at her to act. But she remembered the lessons of the trials. The alien's voice thundered. Do you resist? Do you fight? Or do you feel? Her words cut into their souls, pressing against their fragile hope. The illusion of Earth burned brighter, the screams sharper. It was the greatest nightmare they had ever faced. Dr. Singh fell to the ground, tears streaming down his face. My family, my wife, my children, he whispered. He reached toward the burning planet as if he could touch it, but his hands only met the cold void. Rivera collapsed beside him, sobbing uncontrollably. Harris stood shaking, his voice breaking. If this is real, if she's actually doing this, then what's the point? His fists pounded against the glowing path, his anger spilling. We can't stop her. We can't fight her. We're powerless. The hopelessness spread like a poison. Morgan stepped forward, her eyes locked on the burning Earth. Her voice rose, steady but fierce. This is not real, she said. It cannot be real. But even as she spoke, her heart twisted with doubt. The flames looked too real, the cries too sharp, the destruction too complete. The alien's glow pulsed, her voice wrapping around Morgan like chains. Do not resist. Feel it? Morgan closed her eyes, letting the images flood her. She saw her family's faces, their voices calling her name. The grief tore through her, sharp and deep, but she did not turn away. She let the pain wash over her, let the despair flood her chest, and then she whispered, If this is real, then I feel it. If it is not, then I still feel it, but either way, I will not break. Her words cut through the silence, steady as steel. She opened her eyes, her gaze blazing at the alien woman. You want us to see our world fall and give in to despair, but we are human, we endure. We carry pain and still keep going. Her voice grew stronger, her crew lifting their heads at her words. We will not surrender, not to fear, not to doubt, not even to the end of Earth itself. Rivera wiped her tears, whispering, She's right. Even if Earth burned, we would still fight to live. Singh lifted his chin, his voice steadier. We carry Earth in us, not just on the ground. Harris breathed hard. His fists unclenching, he looked at Morgan and gave a slow nod. The fire in his eyes returned, and he muttered, If this is her final test, then we face it together. The crew joined hands again, their circle forming strong and unbroken. The burning Earth still roared before them, but now they faced it as one. The alien's glow flickered, her voice softer now, almost thoughtful. You do not resist. You do not collapse, you accept and endure. You believe in more than yourselves. The flames consuming Earth began to fade. The screams falling silent, the planet slowly dimmed, returning to its untouched form, blue and alive. The illusion shattered into light, leaving only the void once more. The crew gasped for breath, their eyes wide with relief and disbelief. They had faced the destruction of everything they loved, and they had survived it. The alien woman's light hovered above them, brighter than ever for the first time. Her voice carried no mockery, no threat, only respect. You have passed the final test,